Today on the Topping Show, Lizzo accidentally makes a pro-Trump campaign video. Tractor Supply now facing a new boycott after they cut back on DEI as well as pride parades. Biden plans to spend more government money and attack grocery stores in order to solve the high grocery prices. Kamala Harris is worried that Trump may weaponize the DOJ. The FDA bans brominated vegetable oil in drinks. Pagani Huayra Epitome to have a V12 and a stick shift. Modelo and Corona parent company continues to increase their sales. And Diamond Shruumz, well, their recall now is expanded, unfortunately, to include 1 death and 50 illnesses. All of that and much, much more on The Topping Show. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in today. Today's episode of The Topping Show is proudly sponsored by Topping Technologies. Topping Technologies is an IT value-added reseller and services company with a special proficiency in IT security. Heck, I see their founder at least twice a day. Guys say he's quite handsome and brilliant. He's me, you see, that's the joke. If you're an IT leader or business owner, you can reach out to the team at sales@toppingtechnologies.com. Also, to celebrate the 4th of July all month, giving away a free 50 caliber musket or flintlock pistol with every IT purchase. Go to toppingtechnologies.com to learn a little bit more. Also, try and get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month. So if you could click that button and tell your friends, I would greatly appreciate it. Now, going over to the business part podcast, you have the Pagani Huayra Epitome. We'll have a V12 and a stick shift, as all true cars should already have by default. Now, this lovely news is brought to us thanks to Car and Driver. And if you're only tuning into the show audio-wise, you're missing out on some beautiful visuals today because the Pagani is quite literally a work of art. Now, again, this is from Caleb Miller, who's a writer over there. He says, quote, Pagani Huayra Epitome is the only Huayra to have a manual. The 7-speed stick shift is paired with a twin-turbo 6.0-liter V12, producing a massive 852 horsepower, and the Epitome wears unique carbon fiber bodywork. And, wow, that is one of the best-looking rear ends I've seen in all the years of admiring vehicles. And, yeah, there's something just awe-inspiring about the Pagani. It is truly a work of art. It is just brilliant engineering. Got, what is it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 exhaust tail pipes out of that thing. Got the clear coat over the blue carbon fiber. The rear diffuser alone looks like it should be in a museum. Although, true owners should drive the hell out of these, obviously. We got the cool gull wing doors. That looks amazing. I'll go ahead and I'll put one of the better pictures on the screen. I'll tell you a couple of these fun bullet points here. They say the Pagani Huayra Epitome is a one-off special edition with a 7-speed manual gearbox. They also say that the Epitome will also feature unique front and rear bumpers and a larger wing. They say while the Pagani already launched the Huayra successor, the Utopia, in 2022, it continues to crank out special versions of the Huayra. The latest of the Epitome is a one-off created by boutique automaker Grandali Campilanzi Division, responsible for the... And again, I apologize, I do not speak Italian. And yeah, I definitely butchered that. I'll be definitely honest about that. Say, quote, is responsible for the company's special projects, although we imagine most Paganis qualify as pretty damn special. Still, the Epitome manages to distinguish itself by being the only Huayra fitted with a manual transmission, which, again, every one of these pictures just looks awe-inspiring. They say that the Huayra Epitome will have the vision of the client with presumably very deep pockets who want to take the Huayra to the highest of expression. It took a team behind the Grandali Campilanzi, a name that means grand complication, and inspired by high-end watches, 9 months to iron out the car's details, followed by 10 months of the perfect design, Pagani says. Which, I believe, someone had the Pagani Utopia at a car event in DFW, what was it, 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I got to meet the owner, and he said the build process, and granted he was flying over to Italy and getting it spec'd out, and just his involvement, it was almost like 4-year process, and obviously it's also millions of dollars. But yeah, when they talk about being able to customize your vehicle, they really do have you be involved. And granted, these people, the owners aren't manufacturing it and hammering it, but they're customizing it up the wazoo, which again is brilliant because from a business perspective, more often than not, the more often you can customize the product, the higher price point you could appropriately charge for it, because it's unique to that owner. Going down more and more. Let's see here. They say that beneath the Epitome's ornate carbon fiber bodywork lies the Pagani's 6-liter twin turbocharged V12 built by Mercedes AMG division and cranking out 852 horsepower and 811 foot-pound of torque. Instead of the 6 and 7-speed sequential transmissions found in other higher models, The potent motor is hooked up to a 7-speed manual gearbox from X-Track, that's spelled Xtrac, again, making it the only one with a stick shift. And of course, you gotta take a look at that picture. Again, there's a picture of the rear from the top view. You actually see the nice carbon fiber everywhere, covering up that engine, of course. It also says that the top speed is 217.5 miles per hour, which, again, that's a pretty good top speed, though it's not like a hypercar. Like, again, kind of cliche to say, but it's hard to beat the iconic McLaren F1, which, I mean, that held the top speed in the world for like 10 years. And to me, that's the ultimate supercar. Granted, this is estimated to be 3 to 4 million. McLaren F1, before you pay for the maintenance with everything timing out, well, that's around 25 million these days. And you can see the nice little interior there, which, to me, seems a little bit too busy in terms of all the gadgets and doodads they put in there. Now, granted, I'm definitely not their target audience. I do have a Honda Civic Si, for Christ's sake. But nevertheless, you do see that nice shifter in the middle. You can see some mechanics around it as well. There's some really, really cool business news today. Because, again, there is a market for these things, and people are definitely willing to pay for it. It still blows my mind that companies like Ferrari have the hubris not to make a manual transmission. Granted, they have a whole life history of saying F the customer and just, our way or the highway. Moderately intended, since you drive on the highway usually. But yeah, like Lamborghini, all those top cars, and granted, these don't even compare because these are, again, Lamborghini is what, like $300,000? This is $3 million. But yeah, I wish the Volkswagen Group would wake up and do that again. But nevertheless, it's really fun business news. It'll be interesting to see what the price point for this at the end of the day is. And that's just the price point to the owner. If they ever auction it off, I mean, and again, I always tell people, never treat automobiles like it's a financial investment. 99.9999% of the time, you're going to lose money. Even when they call it limited edition, because usually it's not limited, with the exception of how many units they can produce. But in this case, we have such a few boutique manufacturers like Pagani. It'd be fascinating to see what might that go for at like a Barrett Jackson auction or something to that effect. Or probably more accurately, a fancy auction I've never heard of or been invited to. But let me know in the comments, would you ever want a supercar with a manual transmission? Again, there's a couple of those folks out there like me. But let me know, as always. I'd be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting business news, you have the parent company of Modelo and Corona. Well, they are doing quite well, as Bud Light continues to fizzle out. Unmoderately intended, of course. Yep, one of the biggest benefactors of the Dylan Mulvaney controversy with Bud Light and Anheuser-Busch Business Ineptitudes, hiring Dylan Mulvaney for, again, it still blows my mind, the biggest negative ROI in history from a business perspective. They paid, again, this is Anheuser-Busch, InBev, paid Dylan Mulvaney $185,000. And they lost, to date, about $1.4 billion in lost sales for Bud Light. Which is, again, the CEO and former CIA operative, Brendan Whitworth, still has his job at Anheuser-Busch somehow. And yeah, that'll be written about in business books for decades if it's appropriately covered. Now, one of the biggest benefactors of that situation was Modelo and Corona. And for the first time in, I believe it was 20 years, Modelo was the #1 selling beer in the United States. And that was per month. So it was the best selling beer of the month. And again, Bud Light had that for 20 years. And all it took was one bad marketing campaign with Alyssa Heiderchild and her, I was going to say brilliant ironically, but we'll just say she's mentally vacuous because that's even more straightforward to the point. Now, this is brought to us, we can get down to some of the fun statistics here, by Yahoo Finance, which, a little fun nostalgia, Yahoo still does exist, and at one point was bigger than Google and used by more people than Google. Believe it or not. Now, this writer says, quote, Constellation Brands beats quarterly profit estimates on strong beer business. You say there's little Corona Light bottles, which I wonder how many people know that just because of the Fast and Furious franchise, because that's the only thing they drank pretty much throughout the whole darn movie franchise history. Now scrolling down more and more. They note that, quote, Corona beer maker Constellation Brands beat Wall Street estimates for first quarter profit, helped by strong demand for its core beer brands, which offset the sluggish wine and spirits business. Shares of Victor, New York-based company, which maintained its annual forecast, were up nearly 3% from preliminary trading. Oh, geez Louise, that is a pretty penny. What are they looking at? $250 per share? It's actually down for Constellation Brands specifically. I mean, overall year, they are positive, but past couple weeks and months, not doing great. Granted, there's not always a direct correlation between sales and stock. There's other variables, of course. Now, going back to the specific numbers, they note Constellation's beer business, a major revenue contributor, saw a 6.4% depletion in volume growth, the rate at which other products were sold, compared with a 5.5% breath last year. Now they said, quote, Constellation's operation margin in its beer business rose 260 basis points to 40.6%. That is a pretty penny. Now, they also noted that the company reported a comparable profit of $3.57 per share for the quarter ended May 31st, beating analyst estimates of $3.46 per share per LSEG data. They posted net sales of $2.66 billion, slightly below the estimated $2.67 billion. And again, they noted the tepid, which is I'll give them A+ for unique word. You don't hear that every day. Tepid demand for premium wine and spirits, which, yeah, I'm definitely not their core audience member when it comes to wine. I'll never forget. Every couple of years, you have someone just go to Walmart and get a box of wine. Literally, just the one that's in a little bladder that comes in a box. They go to a wine convention and then just put it in the bottle or in a glass. They don't tell people what it is, and it's just as good, if not better, than some of the other ones. So I always debate when I hear people, oh, I'm a wine guy or wine connoisseur. I'm like, can you really tell? Maybe it's just me. But yeah, again, hindsight's 2020. Maybe I should invest in that stock. Again, not financial advice. But Constellation Brands continue to do good. And yeah, I don't see Bud Light recovering anytime soon. But let me know if you think they'll actually make a comeback. Seems like the competition, or seems like everyone just keeps going over the competition. But yeah, I'm trying to think of in the past 6 to 12 months, I think I've seen 2 people ever order a Bud Light. And everyone, I mean, it's not like everyone yelled at him and told him to get out of the bar, or where was I? Oh, more accurately, a restaurant. But, I guess Topgolf for work. But nevertheless, this kind of gave him a weird look. It's almost like an unspoken thing. Like every time I host a company event, again, it's not like I tell people, we don't dictate what people can order on the menu, but everyone's buying beers or putting it on the tab. And, more often than not, I mean, we're also in Texas, but Shiner is a big popular one. And yeah, at our events, we've never seen a Bud Light. But let me know, do you know anyone who's publicly bought or consumed Bud Light in the past year? I mean, have you yourself actually bought it? Let me know in the comments. I'd be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the Culture Proud podcast, you have Lizzo accidentally making a Trump campaign video when she attempts to roast him, but kind of backfires. Now, this was brought to us thanks to Libza TikTok, in which she said, quote, Lizzo just accidentally made an epic video campaigning for Trump. This sounds awesome. And shoot, I'm sorry. I should have told you like a disclaimer. I'm about to put a picture of Lizzo on the screen. I know it won't technically make your eyes melt like in Indiana Jones, but it's certainly not a pretty sight. So I should have gave you some warning. That's kind of the benefit if you're just tuning in on Spotify or something like that. You're not seeing Lizzo on the screen. So apologies, but I think it's less than a minute long, so it won't be too I'm sorry. Minute 22 long, but we'll get through it together. And I don't know what she's wearing. It's certainly not a suit or dress. But nevertheless, one of the few times where, I always bring up a video, I say their voices are infinitely better than mine. In this case, it might be a coin flip. But nevertheless, we'll hear what Lizzo has to say. And on the screen, I'll read some of the text she has. It says, Project 2025 in text in front of her, one of her chins.
The Supreme Court.
I'll crank up that volume really quick. Well, that's why.
The Supreme Court just ruled on, I think, 3 or 4 new laws that are really starting to put Project 2025 in motion. If you don't know what Project 2025 is, it is not a scare tactic. It is not a conspiracy. It is very real. And here are some of the guidelines. Unitary executive theory. Just read this.
Okay, well, for a second it was just the text on the screen, then she surprised me. She took up, obviously, a disproportional great amount of percentage of the screen. But get her out of the way. It says, quote, Government Project 2025 proposes that the entire federal government bureaucracy, including independent agencies such as the Department of Justice, be placed under direct presidential control. A controversial idea known as unitary executive theory. In practice, this would streamline decision-making, allowing the president to directly implement policies in a number of areas. Proposals also for calling for a limited job. Apologize, the screen is a little bit far from me. The proposals also call for eliminating job protections of thousands of government employees who could be replaced by political appointees. You know how many federal government employees there are these days? I'm pretty much for anything that curtails that. I mean, there's a lot of redundancies, to say the least. And it looks like, why is there a watermark or something over the last text? Then it says, the blank, 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 arrogant, increasingly lawless organizations, and calls for drastic overhauls of this and federal agencies, including elimination of Department of Education, which I'm not sure how much good they do these days. If anything, I think they're quite the antithesis. And again, this is a summary, or where's she getting this information? It'd be nice if she said. Maybe she does. Maybe she'll grace us with her elegance and brilliance. Probably not, but let's get back to what she has to say.
This would give the president complete and total power to pass any bill or law he wants. Donald Trump. They're going to build that wall. Also, they're going
Spoiler, I'm pretty sure most Americans are for the wall these days. I mean, we spent over almost $200 billion defending Ukrainians' wall, or their alleged wall, or whatever we want to call that Russia-Ukraine conflict. Yeah, we can't spend, 6 to 12 billion to protect our southern border, where we've had 8 to, 15 million illegals cross illegally in the past couple of years. These 39 months. Where again, some of these people are literally terrorists, and many of these people are committing acts of murder in the United States. I mean, it's a huge security issue, as well as a labor issue, as well as a more moral issue. You have people who are waiting in line properly doing the process, and then others are illegally crossing. And I'll beat you in the comments. Yes, I'm from Cuba. However, we did fly here right when Fidel took over, so yeah, just throwing it out there. Nevertheless,
to fast track certain immigrants if they pay a certain price. They want the next.
that is an interesting topic. Should we fast track someone if they're more economically enabled or they have? That's another point of controversy with immigration is all the benefits that they get, which again, you incentivize behavior, you get more of it. If you're actually having people pay to come here, that'd be interesting. I don't know. Again, I think it's worth having a public debate about. Granted, I'm not sure how much eloquence and debates really happen in DC these days, but nevertheless.
Next president to stop the war on oil and natural gas.
She's saying that like it's a bad thing? Remember when gas was under $2 a gallon? Remember the first time in 60 years the U.S. was energy independent? How was that? That quite literally is one of the best things for a country is cheap energy. It's how you grow a country. Literally everything in our lives is better when you have cheap fuel. I'm just thinking about food. How does food get to the store? How does food get from the farmer to the store? How does the farmer cultivate the food? All takes fuel. Think about every product we have pretty much have petroleum byproducts in it as well. And yet she's saying, oh yeah, they're gonna, deregulate some of that, get rid of some of that red tape, allow them to drill in more areas.
The reason why we're at war anyways right now, they already got rid of Roe v. Wade.
Wait a minute, the reason we're at war, which war is she talking about? I was told we have to defend Ukrainian something.
So they've already started this part.
Abortion. Wait, you mean the thing where Trump said on stage during the presidential debate that the issue was relegated to the states and all the states were different, that he would not pass a national abortion law?
And they want to get rid of the abortion pill. And
wait, fact check. Is that the only way to perform one of those acts? And what is she saying now? It's almost done, I promise. I know it's unbearable.
And lastly, he wants to get rid of the Department of Education. So
that would be great. I can't help but wonder. Let's pull it up really quick. How many employees at the Department of Education? Just a friendly reminder while I look that up, the public test scores for kids for ACTs at a 32-year low. And yet the teachers' unions say they deserve more money. They're also one of the largest contributors to politicians. Yeah, I know. One of those things. Let's see. Department of Education is 44 years old, so it's been around for a little while. What? Wait, $68 billion budget? Wait, no, 2023 is $88.3 billion. Looks like some of that, again, this is Wikipedia. About 5,000 employees. No. According to 2018 is 3,912 employees. Annual budget. A couple numbers here. Sorry, the presidential's request was 88.3. It looks like the last budget we see for them is 2016 got $68 billion, which is quite a pretty penny to say the least. Yet, I would debate what have they done. Also, one fun fact, one of the reasons you have less creativity in public schools is the Department of Education, and that's why they have less fun extracurriculars. They quite literally coerce local schools, saying we won't give you federal funding if you don't get rid of archery or if you don't get rid of shooting it. They used to have classes where you could teach kids how to properly use a firearm, how to actually use it safely. I mean, just look at Brave or Google image search and you see kids being instructed on how to use firearms properly in school. Again, what I always tell people when it comes to the firearms debate in the Second Amendment, well, first of all, it's a God-given right, you'll never take it away from folks. And it's like when it comes to schools and having shootings, it's a culture issue, not a firearm issue. We've had the technology for well over 100 years when it comes to detachable magazines and such. But I'll get back to what Lizzo was saying.
This will happen. So all those books that are getting banned, they're just going to keep on banning them.
I mean, the books have porn in them. I guess on YouTube you're supposed to say corn unless it gets blacklisted with the magical algorithm. Yet another reason I upload daily multiple times on the big green competitor, which allegedly if you say that, it also messes with the magical algorithm. I don't know how many people really understand. I say that, but I mean, obviously people like Mr. Beast are doing something right, obviously. But yeah, you have books where they literally have adult content in them in elementary schools. And the perverts that want to keep those books there. So yeah, there's a reason you shouldn't have graphical books that show you sexual acts in elementary schools. There's no upside to having that. And I'm not saying the teachers should immediately be thrown in jail, but they should be probably given a day in court to prove their innocence, because something isn't right.
And all this was made possible because Trump appointed 3 young Supreme Court justices during his presidency, and we are seeing the effects of that.
And it's also because Ruth Bader Ginsburg was one of the most egotistical, power-hungry SOBs in history. And she clung onto power because she was so greedy and so egotistical. Because again, they recommended that she retire or step down under Barack Obama. Because again, then Obama could have appointed someone else. But no. She wanted the power to the very end. And yet, that's one of the reasons why you have more people on the Supreme Court who usually believe in the Constitution, also known as constitutionalist, which one would think everyone would want. Kind of suspicious, some don't. Now, thankfully, you can only see Lizzo's chins and, what do you call it, the strap. That's one of the strongest dresses I've seen. And granted, I'm no fashion aficionado. I don't know, like the toe straps you have on a truck to put down lumber or secure lumber. They're digging into their shoulders and they're not giving up. I'll give credit to whoever made that. I don't know what you call that type of article of clothing. Whoever manufactured that, that is a great durable product. I'd recommend it for military application, perhaps. And yet, it's hilarious. She made this commercial saying, "Oh yes, it's so bad." Everyone, again, this is social media. A lot of people loved that. Because again, a lot of people are voting for Trump because of his position on those policies. And also with the summary in terms of consolidation of power, I'll probably let me know in the comments if you want me to do a whole separate video, very similar to the Supreme Court thing, where we actually analyze the actual granular bullet points of what it really means versus what some people are interpreting as. But let's go to the top comments. Let's see. Paul Zupa says, "Sounds good to me. Open the energy production, build the wall, defund the Department of Education. Win, win, win." Getting 377 likes. Let's see here. Wall Street Ape says, "Here's proof that the Biden administration is using foreign bot farms to push Project 25 propaganda. However, I think it's backfiring because Project 25 is actually sounding like exactly what America needs right now, LOL." Got 321 likes. Sandy says, "Don't tell him." Got 727 likes. What is this?
What you got to say about Project 2025? Have you heard of Agenda 47? Say what? Agenda 47. Nah. It's the actual platform that Trump is going to push when he becomes president. It's listed on his official campaign website. Project 2025 is not to be found there. Matter of fact, Project 2025 was created by a conservative think tank named the Heritage Foundation. It's supposed to make it illegal to be homeless. Has nothing to do with Trump. Trump has neither endorsed nor supported this platform.
Oh,
he has his
sense.
own. But I saw on BET. I don't care what any Hollywood elite or BET Awards show hosted by Taraji P. Henson have told you about Project 2025. It is not a talking point of President Trump's campaign, nor is it something that he's interested in. It's just another tool to fearmonger you and to just continue to vote for the same people over and over again and never breaking the cycle of chaos that we see within the black community. Once again, just look at the decades long of Democrat control over black cities.
What is he talking about? Chicago is a great place to live. That's a joke because no, it's been terrible for nearly 100 years. It's one of the reasons why businesses and people are leaving it in droves.
Uncle Tom. It makes sense, man. But listen, do you? Be mad at what you want to be mad at, but you ain't mad at Trump. Man, shut up, coon.
Jeez. Got 727 likes on that video. See, wow. Remanti says, could Lizzo be any more? I don't know what we call it, the Swedish thing, or one of the things where they blow into a trumpet the size of like a Honda Civic in length. And yes, Americans will use anything except the metric system. Never use it, obviously. It says retard. Get 121 likes. Let's see. We have Lizzo with one we're discussing. What is that? Ski mask without the face? And this is from Brano saying, advice Lizzo is not a secure source of wisdom. And says she's saying Project 2025 is going to be terrible for you guys. And it's a little cartoon that says Trump up 500% in the polls. Getting 254 likes. Let's see. Laurel Powell says, unitary executive theory would give the president complete and total power to pass any bill or law he wants. Someone needs to rewatch the Schoolhouse Rock and learn how a bill becomes a law. Yeah, that's true. Got 144 likes. Boneless Fries says she looks like the black Loom girl who wants to admit she stinks everywhere. I don't know what Loom is. Got 22 likes though. Let's see. Russell Flowers says apparently 99% of Biden voters know what Project 2025 is, and 1% of Trump voters know about it. Got 33 likes. Rash Disclosures says Lizzo doesn't know what the F she's talking about. Doesn't know, doesn't care. 46 like. Guns for Golf, or Guns and Golf says, I'm voting for Trump even harder now, getting 62 likes. Curious Mind Bite says, what an endorsement. Borders protected, safe elections, elimination of made-up federal departments to lower what we spend on government, etc. Getting 23 likes. Granted, in terms of the total fiscal cost of the department, I think the more detrimental thing is how they're controlling all the schools, and I'm not sure what value they really brought. Jeremiah Bonds says she's just falling in line for the rest of them. All press is good press. Haha, getting 58 likes. Oh, I never forget this. Paul Hookham says, LMFAO, they put bigger wheels on the Lizzo chair. And I forgot what TV show this was on, but yeah, if you look at all these chairs, the wheels are for the people who are human sized. They're about the size of maybe golf balls. And you look at Lizzo's chair, and it's reinforced as if it's built for an elephant. And the wheels are twice as big. They look like the industrial caster wheels you see on like toolboxes in mechanic shop that are rated for up to like 500 pounds. And those wheels are not cheap. I mean, those are the industrial wheels I'm thinking of. They're like almost $100 per wheel. Again, when it comes to heavy duty machinery or people, it takes a lot of engineering and heavy duty materials to support that structure. Now that got 98 likes. And again, F- for shit fashion. She's wearing some type of like almost like your grandma's quilt on a TV show. Again, I'm not sure who's picking out her clothing. Scrolling down more and more. See. A lot of pictures of Lizzo in her terrible outfits. If there's any contrarian statements here. Because again, there are millions of people, well, maybe dozens of people who appreciate Lizzo. I heard she also plays music. I think she's really just known for twerking as if she's having a seizure and desecrating monuments, like when she played the glass flute instead of actually, honoring it. Let's see one more. The doppelganger says she just needs to stick to singing and leave politics to others, getting 7 likes. Well, she's probably also busy preparing for her legal case, as she's been, again, allegedly accused of sexually harassing her employees. One of the most hilarious, and I say hilarious because of hypocritical, the pot calling the kettle black. Lizzo apparently berated her employees, saying that they're too fat. Lizzo said that. Yeah. So, morally vacuous to harass your employees, obviously. And she also, again, this is allegedly, she took employees to strip clubs, which, yeah, I mean, granted, my tech company doesn't have an HR department, but I come from corporate America. Even I know, like, yeah, you don't do that, especially these days. And even worse, she forced employees to, how do I say this eloquently? I try to keep it moderately family friendly. She pushed and coerced employees to catch bananas coming out of the performers at the strip clubs. I'll let your imagination run wild with that. But yeah, and she doesn't see, and again, there's all other allegations against her as well. Yeah, Lizzo is probably busy eating as well as preparing for her next legal case. She probably shouldn't be focusing on Orange Man and Bad, but she's an influential person. A lot of people appreciate her twerking, I guess, and fashion outfits. So maybe some people will be influenced by her, but culturally speaking, I'm surprised Lizzo is still a thing because again, with all the accusations, again, she'll have her time in court to prove herself innocent or appropriately or be proven guilty. We'll see what happens. But let me know, do you know anyone in your circle of friends who admire Lizzo? Now, granted, when it comes to my musical preference, I mean, shoot, was the last modern band I liked maybe Aerosmith? I'm partially kidding. I do like, what was I growing up with, like Sum 41, but yeah, each their own. But as always, let me know in the comments. I'd be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting cultural news, you had the Tractor Supply having a new boycott after their DEI backtrack and their lack of participation in the funding of pride parades. Now, for those who don't realize, Tractor Supply, A+ for marketing, the fact that their name is exactly what they do. They're a Tractor Supply company. They have all the fixings you need, all the accessories you need for your home farm, and even folks who live in moderate suburban areas, they have them for their chicken coops in the backyard. They got chicken feed. They pretty much have A to Z for most small farming needs and even some larger ones. And yeah, spoiler alert, their main customer base is conservatives. It's people who live in more rural areas, live in farmlands, want to be self-sufficient, and they thought it'd be a good idea to embrace DEI as well as we'll start sponsoring pride parades, which in terms of knowing your target audience is an F minus. And they lost about $2 billion in market value because, again, they were publicly traded when a lot of these things were leaked to the public. They even had DEI trainings, which, again, is a controversial thing for many companies and is especially becoming a lightning rod for controversy in the United States. It's also technically illegal because you're not supposed to discriminate against someone based on their race or their gender, but I partially digress. Now, there's such a boycott that, Tractor Supply did the right thing. They listened to their main customer base, and they said, we're not going to treat people differently based on their race. We're not going to participate in these pride parades because, again, what does a pride parade have to do with farming? Suppose maybe they both have hoes. I mean, I'm only partially kidding, but it's one of those things where pride parades in the United States is also becoming a controversial thing because, again, not all of them. Some of them have many naked adults in them, and there are children around. So that's why I think the past couple of years there's been more and more resistance against supporting those types of activities. Whereas again, 20, 30 years ago, it's been just adults dressed up in funny, weird outfits. Nowadays, some of them are in bondage gear and other weird stuff that, again, is for the bedroom. They're walking down like Main Street, which again is a point of controversy. Mass murder. I think nowadays, culturally speaking, in the United States, really no one gives a darn what you do in the bedroom as long as it's adults. There are a couple who do, but I think overall that's not a point of controversy. Once you start dancing outside naked in front of children, that's where a lot of people in the middle and of course on the right, they get a little bit irate. Now, however, there's a Tractor Supply swinging the pendulum back away from DEI and the pride parades. It sparked in and of itself another possible boycott. This is coming to us thanks to NBC News, which they say, quote, Black Farmers Association is calling for Tractor Supply CEO's resignation after the company cuts DEI efforts. The company said it would eliminate all of its diversity, equity, and inclusion roles and withdraw its goals for reducing carbon emissions, which, again, I'm not sure how many customers actually care. That's just the carbon emissions. I don't know. More than 18 people in San Francisco who care about that, realistically. That is also something they also do, though, because for financing and investors, because there are investment companies and firms that look for these things. And again, they're a publicly traded company, so they have incentive mechanisms to do things such as that. And granted, I'm not sure how many people really want to read the text, so I'll go ahead and I'll keep that logo up there while I read some of these fun bullet points for us. They say, quote, the resignation demand emerged as Tractor Supply, which sells, all that kind of stuff. Now, in terms of the feedback from the association, John Boyd Jr., who's the president and founder of National Black Farmers Association, said, quote, I was appalled by the decision. I see it as rolling back the clock with race relations because our country is so divided by race, especially in rural America, unquote. Which, I mean, it's 2024. Again, there are racist assholes. There always will be. I certainly think, hard to ballpark a percentage, I don't even think it's 1% of Americans. I mean, people always talk about, I live in one of the most diverse areas. No one really gives a damn about, what you look like. It's all about what you do, what your morals and actions are. But partially digress. Now, scrolling down more and more. say, quote, Tractor Supply, which has its headquarters in Brentwood, Tennessee, operates 2,200 stores across the United States, most of them located in rural areas. The retailer's core customer base consists of shoppers in need of farm and ranch products such as livestock feed, trucking supplies, tools, and outdoor equipment. Boyd said that the Tractor Supply stores can be found where much of MBFA's 130,000 members are located. Like many farmers, he said black farmers have shopped at the chain for years. Boyd, who is a Tractor Supply shareholder, estimated personal spending of more than $10,000 at his store since January alone, buying supplies like fencing wire and feed for his cattle and horses in Virginia. Which it's always it's a point to bring up, but it is funny when consumers get angry and they go to like a Best Buy or some Target and they try to say like, you should do what I say because I'm a big customer of yours. Which, I mean, there was a time when maybe it's just rose-tinted glasses where you always thought the customer was always right. A lot of people might argue people had more decorum and moral and value back in the day. But yeah, as soon as a consumer brings up that concern or they bring out that point, a lot of folks just tune out. Because again, let's do a fun exercise. What's Tractor Supply's total revenue in 2023? Tractor Supply. What was their full calendar year revenue? 2023 revenue. Let's see here. Quarterly results, earnings, 2023. Let's see here. How many billions was this? $3.39 billion. Really? That's really good. Yes, $10,000. Again, that's a monumentous amount of money to myself. That's half the value of my car, if not more. I mean, that's a lot. But yeah, in terms of Tractor Supply, the company, that's a rounding error. But nevertheless, they say, quote, before the company's announcement, the conservative activists opposed DEI efforts sponsoring of LGBTQ events and climate advocacy has spent weeks criticizing Tractor Supply on social media. The Tractor Supply said in its announcement that it was making changes after hearing from disappointed consumers and took the feedback to heart. The MBFA said it made repeated attempts to discuss the concerns with Tractor Supply President and CEO Hal Lawton before calling for his resignation. Now, this voice says, quote, he's gone too far, and we won't, and we have to let him know we're not going to sit back and take this mess anymore. Boyd said, adding that the organization may consider calling for a boycott of Tractor Supply if nothing changes in the coming days. Yeah, okay. But we're tired of being mistreated by the government and Fortune 500 companies. Black farmers are going to start fighting back, and that's what we're doing, unquote. It's comical because it's quite the antithesis. If you look at the S&P 500, what was it? Daily Wire did a report in 2022 or 3 of the 300,000 employee new hires, like less than 6% of them were white. A disproportionate amount of the population got jobs at the S&P Fortune 500 companies, and they just happen to be of non-white. So if anything, they're actually treated better than white folks. And yeah, we'll see about this. They say, quote, some consumers have already decided to take their business elsewhere, including Squirrelwood Equine Sanctuary, a New York animal sanctuary that says it spends more than $65,000 annually on livestock feed and other supplies at Tractor Supply. Squirrelwood co-founder Beth Hyman said she first heard about the company's decision when the sanctuary supporters reached out to her and asked if the group planned to make a statement about it. She thought about it for a day, then went to her local store and asked the manager, whom she worked with for years, about the announcement. Hyman, who is gay, glad they clarified that, said that she told the manager the sanctuary could no longer support Tractor Supply, and its announcement reflects his beliefs. The sanctuary also posted his stance on X, received more than 31,000 likes, which was nothing in comparison to the first boycott from conservative folks. Hyman says, quote, it's mind-boggling to me that the company would cave to basically a hate campaign. I mean, the campaign was, don't get involved in these politics. Don't get involved in these things that are not core competencies of your business. Don't treat people differently based on things that they cannot control they themselves. Again, they say, again, this is, I mean, the downside of our culture in the United States becoming so bifurcated and divided, where everything is a political and cultural issue these days. And businesses are between a rock and a hard place. And it seems like, or as Bart might say from the classic 90s sitcom, which is somehow still around, I had no idea it was really. Bart once said from The Simpsons, "You're damned if you do, damned if you don't." And in this instance, I think that's quite apt of a metaphor. Now, granted, how much their sales really decline if there is, in fact, a big boycott from this organization? What do you think? 3% of their sales at most? I really don't think that would happen in terms of having a big dent in their sales. But this is the downside, because almost inevitably, because again, if the company did nothing, like if they never even had DEI, eventually they'd have that knocking on their door, and they'd have people demanding, say, "How dare you not do this?" So no matter what, it's a rough time to be in business, because it's like inevitably you're going to have someone knocking on your door asking, no matter what, even if you manufacture soda pop cans or something like that, like, "Hey, why don't you have this on your wall? Why don't you have this flag?" And if they do it, then they get boycotted by some people. If they don't, then they get boycotted by others. So let me know. Do you think some businesses should just start to say, just leave us alone, we don't care, we're sticking to our core competency, we're making soda pop cans or whatever? Let me know in the comment. Again, it's a fascinating thing, because even in the 90s, you had some political activism, but it seems like it's just gotten more and more intense. But let me know in the comments. As always, I'd be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the political part of the podcast, you have Biden planning to spend more money and attack grocery stores to try to fix the high grocery prices. Which, yes, if you ever had a modicum of intelligence or read a business book or an economics book, you see, oh, wait a minute, no, that would just actively make things worse. But it makes some people feel good because free money. Doesn't fix it, but people have short memories or low intellect, and they think, oh yeah, this will help it. Now, interestingly enough, he did announce this on his X-Twitter profile, or more accurately, Karine Jean-Pierre, or someone tweeted it for him. But we'll read the specific statement. So Biden allegedly says, quote, on X-Twitter, "Grocery costs are too high for families across the country. We have planned to tackle them." Which, again, if he just kept that, I mean, that's true. Be a good idea. There's a kernel of an idea there. Again, Trump is saying the same thing. Everyone agrees prices are too high. It's a topic we should probably debate on how to best effectively fix the situation. And then he gives the worst ideas ever. Now, then he has a little picture. It says, the Biden-Harris administration is lowering grocery costs by 1, partnering with 31 state attorneys to take on price gouging. How mentally vacuous is this? I wish more Americans would read a 10K statement or just publicly traded information. The biggest cliche I see, even on quote-unquote educated, smart people on the LinkedIn, they always say, oh yeah, these grocery stores, they're making 30, 40, 50% profit. I mean, they're doing great. Look at this profit margin before EBITDA, which is earning before income tax. I've got the long pain in the ass acronym, and sometimes I get camera nervous, but nevertheless, it does not take into account the realistic costs that you have to pay. So you do have to pay your employees, you have to pay your overhead, you have to pay your taxes, all kinds of stuff. And businesses are taxed ridiculously in the United States. But yeah, they're saying, oh yes, double digit, 30, 40% profit. And eloquently say, hey, well, let's look up Paul Kroger, Tom Thumb, one of those other grocery companies. A lot of them are publicly traded. I mean, again, the grocery business is the worst business to be in. There's a reason there's no startups in that industry, really. Very few. Because guess what the average profit is at the end of the day? The end of the day profit. The end of the day margin is 2%. That's nearly as bad as selling Microsoft to businesses, which is a rough thing in and of itself, which is why you always have to sell services. But 2% profit. This is why also every grocery store has a pharmaceutical department. They have like TVs and sweaters at Target and Best Buy, or Target and Walmart. There's a reason they have to supplement the food, because more often than not, and again, there's outliers for certain things, but even like liquor and beer. I won't say the distributor, but I talked to a beer distributor that I always see at the Walmart, and I asked him, like, hey, how much margin they make? He actually showed me his books. Like, Walmart loses money on some beer. There might be a factory rebate at the end of the day, but it's a loss leader. So they go there, and again, it's a classic loss leader. That's why they put milk in the back of stores. A lot of households think milk is a staple, so you need to buy it. So you go to the back of the store, you get the milk that's they're losing money on, but you walk past the other items that are more profitable. And groceries are a cutthroat industry. A lot of people view them as commodities, which is why I always tell people who are on a budget, go to Walmart. Target is a ridiculous luxury no one really needs in life. So yeah, attacking these stores talking about price gouging. Yeah, no, that is literally just posturing. It's also the private market, so they should be left alone. But they're just going to open up their books and say, oh yeah, we made 2% on that bushel of apples. Granted, I know most people don't buy apples in bushels anymore. Whatever, you know what I'm trying to say. So that's bullet point number 1. Bullet point number 2 that they're going to do is, quote, successfully calling on grocery chains to lower cost, urging more to join leaders like Target, Walmart, and Aldi in lower prices. You just named all the top stores. What are left? H-E-B? Tom Thumb? Who else? Kroger? I mean, you just named you just literally just named the top stores that are lowering their prices. That accounts for how, I'm trying to comprehend what percentage of the market is Target, Walmart, and Aldi. Those are all the big ones. And good luck trying to beat Walmart on price. They have, in terms of economies of scale and getting to an aggressive price point, you'd be hard pressed to beat Target. They're going to call them more. They're going to basically, are they going to bully other stores that don't have the economies of scale like these companies? Try to kneecap them? Also, some of those stores don't want to compete with them. They're premium solutions or premium products like Whole Foods. No one on a budget goes to Whole Foods. Whole Foods helps people they help people solve the problem of, what do I do if I have too much money in my life? If you have that problem, you go to Whole Foods. Yes, I know they have some fancy food, and if I won the lottery, sure, maybe I shop there because they have some good stuff. I've been there like a couple times in my life. But yeah, they're never going to want to compete with Walmart on price. They quite literally, they can't. They have higher quality costs. They have higher costs for the goods. So it's, some of the apples come from different farms. They're fancier. Some are organic, less chemicals. And then everything's more expensive. The employees are paid more. Like, that's not going to work. Then the third bullet point says, and this is the most heinous and morally vacuous, I would argue, because it's obviously not fair. It says, quote, providing low-income families for $2,000 more for groceries by improving SNAP and launching summer EBT. Now, I say it not only, again, in terms of helping helping people, the most effective mechanism, bar none, is the private sector and nonprofits, especially churches and religious organizations and local communities. If you look at how people actually get back on their feet, it's short-term help from those areas, not government. I actually see this as disgusting and morally vacuous because they get people addicted to programs and they never get off, on average. Again, there are outliers, of course, like everything in life. I almost think it's cruel to just give someone, it's the age-old saying, just teach a man a fish, don't just give him a fish again and again, because then he gets dependent and complacent. He doesn't grow and improve as a person. And again, some people do legitimately need help. I just have never seen the government effectively doing it on a mass scale. Again, there might be one or two outliers. And this will also cause more inflation because you're just printing more money. So again, while it sounds, again, the age-old saying, good intentions, a wise man once said the road to hell is paved with good intentions. For marketing, if you don't understand the economy, if you don't understand the profit margins of the grocery industry, then this would sound good. And this might give them some votes, don't get me wrong. This will resonate with some people. However, as the youth might say, it got ratioed on social media. With one of the first comments comes from Gunther Eagleman saying, quote, you have no plan, or you have posted your plan. Got 1.8 thousand likes. Final World says, high grocery costs are a direct result of your administration policies. Partnering with state attorneys general and grocery chains is too little, too late. Lowering costs should start with fixing inflation, not just throwing more money into SNAP and EBT programs. Unquote, getting 2.3 thousand likes, which is, yes, precisely. Inflation is a silent, I believe, what was the age-old famous quote? Oh, what was it? Inflation is a silent thief. Oh, I forget the all-encompassing quote, but it is a good one. Let's see, scrolling down. Paul Zupa says, quote, Joe Biden is now blaming grocery stores for high prices, not the inflation which he caused. During Trump, inflation never averaged over 2%. During Biden, inflation has averaged over 5%. Grocery stores aren't the problem. The problem is Bidenomics. It got 5.5 thousand likes. Planet of Memes did not respond to meme form. However, Planet of Memes says, you have no idea how any of this works, do you? Getting 822 likes. Well, also, why didn't he do this 2 or 3 years ago? The Texas one says, too late for that, getting 74 likes. Let's see. One bad dude says, you dumb, America has a plan. It's called bringing back Trump. There's a little infographic, which they don't give me. I'm not seeing a link to a URL or a source link, but Just a juxtaposition of Trump versus Biden. It says, in case you're undecided, under Trump, inflation was 1.9%. Under Biden, is 17%. Under Trump, gas is $2.17 per gallon. Under Biden, it's $3.96 per gallon. Average rent under Trump is $1,096. Under Biden, is $2,395. NASDAQ under Trump was up 62%. NASDAQ under Biden is up 13.8%. Under Trump, grocery prices increased 3.5%. Under Biden, grocery prices increased 25%. Electricity under Trump is no change. For Biden, is up 20. I think it's 21.43%. Looks like there's like a little, almost like a copyright logo. So can't quite make it out. The real average hourly earnings were 7.1% under Trump, negative 3.5% under Biden. And that infographic got 1.5 thousand likes. Salty Goat says, so you more than double the cost of food, but now you have a plan. Stupid post, Kareen, no way the jackass is up right now. Got 3.9 thousand likes. In referencing to Karine Jean-Pierre, the PR girl, the White House press secretary, who consistently posts for Biden and has been caught doing it multiple times. Steve says, grocery costs are because of you and your administration. Tell the intern this thing to stop gaslighting the public. Got 7.5 thousand likes. Sarah Rose says, everything costs more because of you and your failed Bidenomics, getting 2.5 thousand likes. And again, the U.S. is about 50-50 split between Republicans and Democrats. And yet, again, this is directly from Biden's account on X Twitter. I've not seen a single supportive tweet yet. A single positive response. Could this be, in fact, the rare instance, the Chris Christie effect, a term I coined after seeing twice during the presidential or the Republican campaign for Republican nominee, which Chris Christie ran, or more appropriately rolled, to try to run for office. We had 2 times on social media where he had 0 positive responses. And he allegedly has family, friends, and a campaign staff, and yet having twice, not a single positive response. Perhaps this is an instance as well. More infographics on inflation under Biden. They got 371 likes. Let's see. Trying to see if there's any contrarian statements here. For $1 a dozen. Mortgage rates are 3%. That's a big issue. Yep. Let's see. General TM says grocery costs are high because of Bidenomics. Gas costs are high because of Bidenomics. Getting 2.7 thousand likes. A little more charts showing food inflation rates. Joe Rose says Trump is the answer. You're fired. Getting 145 likes. Let's see. BDMI says, why are you giving low-income family tax dollars? Why can't they provide for themselves like everyone else? Getting 761 likes, which, yes, is also a moral issue. Why do they deserve when others don't? Some people are working 60, 70, 80 hours a week just to keep their head above water. Some people are working more hours and they make more than the median income in the United States. Why wouldn't you incentivize them by lowering their taxes? In fact, quite perversely, the antithesis, the harder you work in the United States, again, there's not always a direct correlation between working hard and making a monetary income. I'm a small business owner. Trust me, there are many times I technically work for free. But one would think we would not punish people for working even harder, being more successful, and yet that's what the U.S. government does. That's happened under people left and right. They've both done that. Let's see. Mr. Leadslinger says, so more socialism and welfare to fix the problem caused by socialism and welfare. Getting 401 likes. So let's go back to see how many comments. There's 16,000 comments, and granted, we haven't even seen 10% of them, but I haven't seen a single positive one. AKA says the inflation is still not as high as Hunter, though, getting 818 likes. So again, it's one of those things where Biden identified the problem. There's a problem with inflation. He didn't say that actually. There's a problem with groceries. Oh, finally, we did find it. A contrarian statement. I thought for sure is the Chris Christie effect. Someone by the name of Mass Media Enjoyer. Interestingly enough, they have let's see, an American flag, a Ukrainian flag, of course, and a Mexico flag and Jerusalem flag that describes himself as ultra mega pro Biden patriot, trying to see the world through the eyes of folks. Forgot the O. From a demographic other than my own. I want justice. Civil rights for all. DMs, nah. So this Mass Media Enjoyer says, quote, what the specifics of how Trump plans on lowering the cost of groceries. He got 53 likes. He also has a blue wave in his profile. Let's see. All the comments was ratio. They didn't get ratioed by the number of likes, but most of the comments were saying, what the hell are you talking about? just said literally what he did before, empowering businesses and deregulating things to make the economy awesome. But again, they got 53 likes, so not quite the Chris Christie effect. We found one support comment for Joe. But, yep, that, again, all of that, just printing more money does not help the problem. That quite literally makes our lives much, much worse. So it'll be interesting to see if this resonates for more prospective voters, or do people kind of wake up, or what's going to happen at the end of the day, or maybe it's just a very persuasive ad, but it's trending somewhere else we don't know about. Probably not, but let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. I'd be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting political news, you have Kamala Harris worried that Trump may weaponize the DOJ, perhaps the greatest metaphor of the pot calling the kettle black. Now, this is brought to us thanks to Libs of TikTok, in which she says, quote, Kamala Harris is worried that Trump may weaponize the DOJ to go after his political opponents if he wins. That would be crazy. Imagine a president doing that. No way. Because, yep, unfortunately, the Department of Justice has been weaponized for quite some time.
Yep.
This is, Kamala Harris is going to attempt to speak, which, I don't know, between her cackle and her terrible roundabout metaphors, it's hard to say who is worse at speaking, me or Kamala Harris. It might be that's a close competition, maybe. And truth be told, I have many speaking ineptitudes, which is why I'm especially appreciative of those who click that subscribe button. I think it may very well assist with that at the end of the day. As the more subscribers I've gained, the better I've been able to speak. Granted, some might say it's been a modicum of improvement throughout the year, but an improvement nevertheless. So, appreciate the feedback and like and subscribe.
We know that Chief Justice Roberts said that the president is not above the law. What's your take on this?
Well, let's just be clear. It's one of the foundational principles in our system of justice that no one is above the law. And when we have a candidate in Donald Trump who's openly said he'll be a dictator on day one, that he will weaponize the Department of Justice against his political enemies, it is very likely that he could be immune from those kinds of acts. And we have to take seriously the stakes of this election in terms of the thought that we could have a president in the White House who thinks he's immune and able then to make decisions with that office that include weaponizing the Department of Justice against his political enemies or being a dictator on day one.
Another quote taking out of context for the dictator thing. He said he's going to, drill baby drill. But this went viral, got 1.1 million views and 29,000 likes. One of the first comments comes from Paul Zupa saying everything Democrats say is a projection, getting 441 likes. The Democrat Media TM says this November, it says more Democrats, got 174 likes. Yeah, Jay Patriot says Trump predicted being president 40 years ago. It's his iconic moment on Oprah Winfrey. Got 112 likes. Jay Patriot also says this was the kill shot during the debate. Little out of right field, so to say. But we'll play it anyway.
Continue to move until we get the total ban on the total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more Border Patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either.
Got 140 likes. Bruce Ballo says, damn, these people are such hypocrites, getting 459 likes. Mike Ray says, they complain about Trump doing what they are already doing. Make it sense, people. Getting 429 likes. Lucy Ryle says they always accuse Trump and his supporters of exactly what they are doing and planning to do. Getting 107 likes. The Cowboy Pill says, meanwhile, especially police storming a house, it says, how you can tell if your memes are reaching a target audience. Getting 71 likes. But yep, they actually arrested someone for a meme last year, a couple years ago. I'll never forget they sent, 5 fully armored SWAT teams cars, and obviously with the police, and they actually broke in a pro-life father. They arrested him at gunpoint in front of his kids. That's the DOJ. Going down more and more. Oh, this might be a good one. Ankush Sharma says this would be number 4, and it says socialist lying pattern: 1, deny; 2, deflect, distract, it's complicated, try to shame you, plead victimhood; 3, muddy the water with irrelevant assertions; 4, accuse others of what you're actually doing or you are planning on doing; 5, Stonewall, with apologies to General Jackson, getting 48 likes. Craig Chamberlain says the left never fails to prove they are a projection party. They're doing it, so they just assume their political opponents will do it too, getting 43 likes again. Let's see. Ida says if you've done nothing wrong, you have nothing to fear, Kamala, getting 11 likes. America Memed, although they responded in non-meme form. Nevertheless, they say, quote, wow, if we only knew of a party that set a precedent for this. Getting 37 likes. Heather 007 says Kamala the gaslighting queen, getting 23 likes. Let's see. Do one more. Who, what, where, Wolf says Democrats afraid Trump will abuse power if elected in 2024. Me. Isn't it ironic, don't you think? Getting 55 likes. Okay, I gotta do one more. This is funny. Mr. Bigglesworth Memes says, gang. It's a picture of Kamala Harris with Elizabeth Warren. It says, two, quote, Indians walk into a bar, lying dog and spread eagle. Getting 67 likes. Elizabeth Warren. Yep. That's socialist. I'll never forget, she claimed she got a scholarship for being Native American, then she took that DNA test. It's like, oh yeah, less than 1%. Hopefully she at least drives a Jeep Grand Cherokee. So she at least play a little bit. But yep, definitely backtracked on Kamala Harris. It'll be interesting. Again, there's a lot of people speculating, will she take over? Is Biden's health continues to decline? What's going to happen with that at the end of the day? I mean, personally, I just think she's much harder to get elected than Biden, because Biden, I mean, he'll do whatever you want. And also, shoot, that'd be a good question for the comments and the debate in and of itself. Who's more eloquent at speaking? Biden or Kamala? Or me? I mean, it'd be an embarrassing competition, to say the least. But let me know in the comments. As always, it'd be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Other interesting political news, you have the FDA banning brominated vegetable oil in drinks, following many other countries. Now, this is brought to us thanks to Reginald Wiggle. It says, quote, why your soda may taste different following the FDA's ban on a controversial additive. Hold down to the actual, they have any pictures of it? There we go. They say, quote, the FDA says banning the use of brominated vegetable oil in food items effective August 2nd. BVA, vegetable food oil modified with bromine, has been in food ingredients since the 1920s. It's typically used as a stabilizer in fruit-flavored beverages to prevent the citrus flavor from floating to the top. Mayo Clinic Catherine Zersky is a registered dietitian, says, quote, health concerns about BVO stem from one of the ingredients, bromine. Bromine can irritate the skin, nose, mouth, and stomach. It's also been linked to neurologic symptoms in people who drink large quantities of citrus soda, more than 2 liters a day, unquote, she added. Which, granted, is quite depressing. The United States is the most obese, unhealthy country on the planet, which, again, is a culture issue as well as a health issue. But, yeah, 2 liters a day? I mean, you have many problems in your life if you're drinking 2 liters a day. Jeez Louise. Now, she says bromine also leaves remnants of bromine triglycerides in the liver, heart, brain, and body fat. An accumulation of bromine can cause bromine toxicity, which can damage the central nervous system. Now, in terms of history, it says in the 1970s, the FDA removed BVO from generally registered safe list and restricted its use to products containing fruit flavorings. Per the Center for Science and Public Interest, BVO was banned in the UK in the 1970s, followed by India in 1990, the EU in 2008, and Japan in 2020. Governor Gavin Newsom signed a bill last year prohibiting the sale of food containing BVO Red 3, Pripibarin, and potassium bromate starting in 2027, which is why they said they're trying to ban Skittles in California, because Skittles has many of these ingredients. Now, they also say the FDA ban comes in the wake of research linking oral exposure to BVO and thyroid damage. Thyroid gland and thyroid hormones regulate metabolism and brain development. Many food companies have already voluntarily removed their products to remove it from their products. Beverage Titans, PepsiCo, and Coca-Cola removed BVO from Gatorade and Fanta products, which, let's see here. Sundrop, made by Dr. Pepper, still has it. They're probably going to remove it soon. And yet, one of the reasons why you have copious amounts of legal resources that many of these manufacturers is you got to stand abreast of all these developments. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the scientists do in terms of research development to try to find a substitute for this in these drinks. Now, yeah, it is pretty fascinating. It took there's a 30-year gap between these two different all these different countries who are, during the different bans. But yeah, again, that's also drinking 2 liters. But again, I know it can add up in the aggregate, and this seems like the research is not great. So, if you have any of that old stuff lying around the fridge or maybe the old garage, probably a prudent idea to perhaps not drink it. And I mean, I doubt we're going to see much of a pushback in terms of manufacturers trying to lobby. I don't think they're going to die in this hill, so to say, in terms of trying to, push against the FDA and keep this ingredient in, especially with all the global precedent of other entities and other countries banning it already. If anything, depending on the cost of materials and cost of goods sold, it might make more business sense, again, just to standardize your product around the whole globe. Because then you're buying with ingredients in bulk, so that might be a benefit in and of itself, but as I always say, time shall tell. Now, going over to the business bullet of the day, you have Diamond Shruumz recall being expanded, as unfortunately there has been 1 alleged death from the substance, as well as, 50 illnesses, according to the FDA, which, yes, I did have to go on the Brave, or some might say the Google, but yeah, I didn't even know this brand existed until a couple of weeks ago, until we've heard news of the first recall. Now, this is expanded, as unfortunately now there are people being more negatively affected by it. And this is brought to us thanks to the AP. And it's a quote, Diamond, which again, I don't know anything about these substances. Let me know in the comments. Is that how you spell it? Or is this just a brand trying to be unique? It's spelled Shroomz, I get mushrooms in my omelets. Those are delicious at the restaurants when I'm with clients. It's gotta be a dumb spelling for marketing. So it's Diamond and then Shroomz spelled Shruumz. Ridiculous. So they say, quote, Diamond Shroomz microdosing candies may be linked to death and nearly 50 illnesses. There you can see there, I don't know who designed this, a child with a crayon. Personally, I'm not a fan of their marketing. The graphic design of the packages look rudimentary to say the least. But nevertheless, this is by an article written by Joel Alicia. She says, quote, federal health officials are investigating possible death and dozens of illnesses tied to recalled microdosing candies laced with a chemical found in mushrooms and sold online in vape shops nationwide, which, who the hell is buying this? I know it's a trend, and I know people use these things, but I would love to see the comparison between their efficiencies when they are or are not on these substances. I've heard theories, again, I haven't seen any research or looked at studies. I've heard theories of how it could be a therapy if you have PTSD or anything like that, but there's a productivity at the office and improving yourself as a person. Is there a statistical increase or betterment of your life with this? I'm skeptical to say the least. But nevertheless, back to the article. They say, quote, at least 28 people in 24 states said they got sick from after eating Diamond Shroomz brand products, including chocolate bars, cones, and gummies. This, according to the U.S. Food and Drug Administration. 1 death is potentially associated with an outbreak, and 27 people have been hospitalized. People who fell ill reported severe symptoms like seizures, agitation, abnormal heart rates, and loss of consciousness. Jeez Louise. Now they say Profit Premium Blends, LLC, ridiculous name, of Santa Clara, California, recalled all of its Diamond Shroomz products late last month because they contain... Jeez Louise. This is going to be a bit embarrassing for me to try to pronounce, but nevertheless, Muskimol, a psychoactive chemical found in potentially toxic amanita mushrooms that may be tied to illnesses. Which, I know portobello. Portobello is a mushroom. I'm not sure about any of this stuff. Which, again, shows my experience or lack of with this types of things. They say, quote, the products are marketed for microdosing, which means taking very small amounts of psychedelic drug to achieve supposed benefits while minimizing negative side effects. Well, apparently not. They say that the FDA and U.S. Centers for Disease Controls, think you know someone who would be affected by it, you can give a call to their poison division at 1-800-222-1222. Again, that's 1-800-222-1222. And yeah, this product is already a big red flag in terms of, I'm surprised it's illegal in many of these states. Apparently it is. But yeah, I'm not sure what kind of quality assurance there is. I'm sure in terms of, there is probably a line of people who would voluntarily do quality control for this company, just eat these things. And I'm not sure how they let this fly under the radar, how they missed it. But nevertheless, having the recall to expanded, so now there's, again, potentially 1 death linked to it, and they have all these illnesses. and it's just getting worse. I gotta say, Diamond Shruumz, that is certainly the business blunder of the day. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in. Again, trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month. So if you could click that button, I would greatly appreciate it. Also, leaving a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comment is a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take the time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe and fight the good fight.